to the thefogvlog.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Mixer Review. And today we're going to be talking about oddDrop, aka Dust Moose. He's in the Daytime Frank show from time to time. I've seen him there. He contributes on the Facebook groups. He's in Mixologist as well. I've seen him commenting over there. I've chatted with him in Facebook, Facebook Messenger. You know, great guy, active in the community. When the Moose, when he speaks, I listen. You know, he's got a lot of interesting information that he puts out. I know he loves mixing with TFA, I think a little bit of FA as well, and Flavor West. And yeah, and that's why we picked him for the show. So I'm going to kick off. Oh, welcome to everybody in chat. Thanks for joining us week after week. It's really nice having you guys here. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the show. So let's kick off with my first mix here. So I'm going to start with Breek, a Greek yogurt with blueberries. Breek starring, so this is his description. Breek starring Greek yogurt and fresh blueberries. Must use FA yogurt old from ECX. Okay, I don't have that. However, you'll see what I did later on. Breek's gotten himself into blueberries again. We can't allow that now, can we, Breek? Drowning you in Greek yogurt would be a reward. Creamy Greek yogurt front, blueberries in the exhale. To me, there is a huge difference between a blueberry flavored yogurt and a yogurt that has blueberries in it. See, this is just why I like Moose. You know, he's a bit of a critical thinker sometimes, you know, and this is great. I like this. This is his description again. This is my take on a Greek yogurt with blueberries, inspired by Downside by Schwartz. So he says, no, there are no subs. I didn't make it that way. Again, you absolutely need FA yogurt old version. It's not anywhere near as good without it or using the new version. However, if you are only able to get FA yogurt new, use it at 1%, and that's what I did. Okay. The reason I use the old version is because, in my opinion, it leans towards the authentic Greek yogurt flavor, while Flavor West is the OG on creamy yogurt. Okay. Thank you and enjoy. Sorry, not sorry if this is very addicting. I highly recommend pairing this with the morning coffee. Yeah, so what's in the mix? 2% TFA Bavarian cream, 7% Flavor West blueberry, 1% TFA meringue, 1% Flavor West sweetener, 0.5% Flavor West vanilla bean ice cream, 0.5% FA yogurt, or 1% of the new one, and 3% Flavor West yogurt. Okay. So what I said here was I always use a freshly rewicked Atty for testing that I do. Okay, that's just something that I do. Okay, however, when doing that, there's a bit of a break in time with your cotton. Luckily, with Cotton Prime that I use, I don't have it here, or this guy here, right? It feels like that break in time is quicker. Okay, but when tasting this, or on my first taste, I was like, the blueberries are not really at the party, but they're kind of on their way, which means I tasted them, but just a little bit on the exhale. And then, I gave it some time and I vaped it for a couple of minutes, but holy shit, there was a dramatic change here. Okay. After a few minutes of tasting, the blueberries finally came through, and wow. When they finally arrived at the party, they were 100% the star of the show here for me. So no funny funky showing up at 7% flavor with Flavor West blueberry, which is, I noted that down because, it means that blueberry, you can push it quite high. So, what he did was using it that high, it kind of sticks out of the mix, and that's what he wanted. He wanted blueberry that kind of stuck out of the mix and wasn't blended as part of the mix. And I think he achieved that very well by cranking that Flavor West blueberry. The sweetness level in this mix is just perfect for me. I like it a little bit sweeter. and you know, so I do get that creamy yogurt from Flavor West, the Flavor West yogurt. So you know, I think this is a fantastic mix. I find it very addicting. I've been reaching back to it the whole time. I'm almost done with my test, and I could just see myself mixing up this again. So I'm going to start the show off with a full banger for Breek. Thank you very much. This was fantastic. Richard, what did you do?
Right, I started off with Haven. Let's just have a look at the recipe first. It's basically 3 layers. The first layer is a cookie layer, which is 2% Flavora cookie dough with 0.5% of FA cookie. Then we have what is essentially a custard layer, which is 1% Inawera Shisha vanilla, 2% TFA Bavarian cream, and 2% FA meringue. Then we also have a creme brulee layer, which is 0.25% of Inawera creme brulee, 1% each of FA cream fresh and Flavora cream. What you have is a sort of cookie custard creme brulee type of layered mix. He says about the custard, you know, it's a custard layer that doesn't have either Inawera custard or cap vanilla custard. It's the Shisha vanilla Bavarian cream and meringue layer. So he said he was looking more for a less egg yolky type of custard, more for, you know, the meringue for the egg whites and the other 2 ingredients for vanilla, sugar, and cream, which to me is, I don't know, it's not really a custard, it's more like a vanilla pudding almost. Then fair enough, the cookie and the creme brulee layers. Now, on first taste, what I got from this was what I would call creme brulee with a maple top note. Now, creme brulee as opposed to creme brulee, because there's a lot of creams in here. The FA cream fresh, the Flavora cream, the Shisha vanilla is quite creamy, the TFA Bav is quite creamy. So what I'm getting is almost like a quite a dense vanilla pudding almost, like base note. What I then find is that the Inawera creme brulee and the FA cookie kind of combine to give a crusty, crunchy, burnt sugar, oven-baked type of edge to that vanilla pudding. And then on top of that, standing proud of it, I get the maple from the Flavora cookie dough. Now, I mean, the cookie dough is kind of a weird flavor. Some people get chocolate from it. Some people just get plain cookie dough. I'm one of those that gets a very, very clear maple note from it. But it's a very good maple note. I really enjoy it, but it's absolutely distinctive for me. It stands out in any mix that uses it. So it's kind of a 3-layer mix that that maple top note, that vanilla pudding, creamy, dense vanilla pudding type base note, and then that kind of bridge of a burnt sugar crust in the middle of the 2 layers. The obvious comparison to me is to Wayne's Obsidian. Now, I really like Obsidian. It's one of the very few commercial juices or commercial one shots that I mix up, and I really enjoy it. I find this to be less linear and defined than Obsidian. I know Wayne aims for a very distinctive, linear, simple profile when he brings out a one shot. This is more of a DIY type profile. I mean that in the nicest way, that it's more complex. There's more side notes happening, and it's just generally not quite as in your face and prominent as Obsidian is. I also find it to be not quite as sweet as Obsidian. Obsidian is a little bit too rich, a little bit too sweet for me to use as an ADV. So I'll have 10 or 15 puffs of it, and then I have to put it away and vape something else because it's overbearing at that point. This for me it's a very interesting and moreish type of flavor. I can vape it for longer because it doesn't have that same level of sweetness, and it doesn't have that same level of linearity. It's almost like that that vanilla pudding base and that brulee base tend to suck a little bit of that richness, that maple richness out of the Flavora cookie dough. So they're both mixes that I will have in my rotation a lot. I like Obsidian in small amounts now and then. This I'll be able to blend for longer. I also like this. I like that Flavora cookie dough note, but it's more valuable for me for longer periods. So this is a really pleasing mix for me. I know people complain that Flavora cookie dough is very difficult to use. This recipe uses it in a good way. It's a complex recipe. We've got nine flavors in there, with cap super sweet as sweetening for the three layers. But I really enjoy this. I'm going to give this a tip of the banger. This is a pleasing and interesting and unusual recipe for me. It uses an unusual flavor in Flavora cookie dough, and it does it well. The whole thing hangs together. So tip of the banger for me, and well done, oddDrop. Dietz, what did you mix up?
I mixed up, first one up here is azul berries, and his notes, I'm just going to read the start of it. It says, my first attempt at azul berries by Naked 100, pulled completely by smell and trying it a handful of times. If you ask me and smell the bottles next to each other, you'll be pretty amazed and probably won't tell a difference between the two at all. If it's not one-to-one, it sure is insanely close. So what he uses in this recipe is 1% cap blue raspberry cotton candy, 4% Flavor West blueberry, 1% Flavor West sweetener, 3% cap vanilla custard V2, 1% FLV vanilla pudding, and 2% cap vanilla whipped cream. Now, before I get into my notes, I have never had the original azul berries, so I don't really know what to compare it to in terms of accuracy to clone. But my notes here, let me go into them. To me, this is it's a very nice and flavorful berry. The berries normally, especially with blueberries, I feel get lost, and I've mentioned this before as well. And this again does that dark berry very well. There's a light sweetness with the raspberry flavor on the inhale, and then from there it develops to a sweet berry cream somewhere in the middle. Then on the exhale, I get a rich and full berry vape. The blueberry is a very visible is very visible on the middle to the exhale of the vape. And to me, I find it's very interesting that the berries develop from the inhale to the exhale the way it does. The profile, it's almost like on that inhale, you are kind of wondering where's the berries, and then when you get halfway and the exhale, there's full on berries there. I was a little bit in two minds whether I would enjoy it myself, because when it comes to fruits, I like the fruits away from the creams, and with this, I really enjoyed it. It was a good berry recipe. And I almost get it's almost like a light but rich vanilla pudding with a dark berry flavor that has been mixed into this pudding. Not a hot pudding, just like that. I would almost say we have similar vanilla instant pudding or something like that you would mix up and freeze. And I would say this is kind of like the creamy type of notes I'm getting from this. The creams are used is a good base for the cream, and it comes through as a vanilla dessert to me. The cotton candy, though, if I had to just look at some things that I pick up, the cotton candy does give it a slight dry feel on the first day after mixing. Now, the recipe does say it is a 1-day shake and vape, and I like shake and vaping everything. But there is that little bit of dryness that I feel is coming from the cotton candy, and that might just go back to my own preference of cotton candy. I feel it does that in almost everything if I use it. So for that reason, I feel that it needs to steep longer. But with this steep, if you let it go a few days, everything binds very well and blends very well. I would say if you enjoy a berry or creamy berry vape that has a dense flavor on the berry profile, then definitely give this a mix. I would give this one a fist bump.
Cool. you know. So something I forgot about, you know, when I was speaking about Breek, just quickly want to mention it. I think the recipe is good enough to, you know, erase the stuff here with the the old FA yogurt. You know, I don't think it has to be in there. I think the recipe is, you know, it shines. It really does. I think you can remove all of that because it might throw somebody, you know, that's interested to mix this up. And I think you can, you know, just remove all of that. Because it's a good recipe, you know, I really enjoy it. So the next one that I mixed up, Birdcage, which is a strawberry cheesecake cereal. So already, you know, we're talking about 3 layers here. So the notes here, the description is, this is a personal mix I'm working on, but I felt like sharing the development process. So all percentages and flavors are subject to change until it's complete. Trying to achieve a very creamy, dense, yet delicate and complex cheesecake where the notes blend in perfectly, getting extremely closer. Okay, so what we have over here, 0.5% TFA, acetylpyrazine, 5%, 2% TFA Bavarian cream, 1.5% Allied cream cheese icing, 0.5% TFA marshmallow, 4% cap New York cheesecake, 5% TFA strawberry ripe, and 1% TFA toasted marshmallow. This is my notes, you know, as I found it. So yeah, this is a recipe in development. I'm going to tell you what I taste, and hopefully that helps you, you know. But I think, you know, this recipe, we need to take this recipe further because, you know, I like this idea. It's 3 things, you know. We're talking about it's strawberry, we're talking about a cheesecake, we're talking about a cereal, you know. So it's an ambitious thing that he's taken on here. So the cereal layer is there, I believe, the AP marshmallow and Bavarian cream that is creating this impression. I like it. Okay, the only thing there for me is I think I've got a bit of a sensitivity to acetylpyrazine. It's reading right like a cereal, but there's a dryness that comes with it as well. Okay, I'm not saying that it's supposed to be mushy. I'm just saying that, you know, for me, I thought that was a little bit dry. But it definitely reads as a cereal, so, you know, that's accomplished. So potentially the problem is just you know, some of the dryness that needs to be battled here, right, and not the cereal base. That's my take on the cereal layer there. Then what I'm expecting from the cheesecake, but what I found was, okay, so I think, you know, there's a couple of darker notes in here that's coming from a couple of places, you know. So Bavarian cream is a darker cream. The toasted marshmallow has got, you know, like a toasted note on it. And then the New York cheesecake also has a dark note to it. So there's, you know, there's 3 concentrates that's got that darkness to it, okay. And I think that plus the acetylpyrazine is potentially, you know, going too much to that, you know, dark toasted note, then I would like this recipe to do. Okay, so I'm just giving I know this recipe is not completed. This is my take on it. Okay, I don't have the recipe in front of me. Wait, let me just quickly check when this recipe was created. Okay, I can't reach it for some reason now. I think there's something happening on ATF. But I suspect this recipe was created before we had or could get our hands on Yes We cheesecake from Inawera. Because there's already that darkness to us, and then I'm sure that that's what oddDrop or aka Moose wants in there. I don't want to mess around with the profile too much. But because he says there he's looking for a very creamy, dense, yet delicate and complex cheesecake, I think potentially adding Inawera cheesecake or swapping it around, you know, and taking out New York cheesecake might do the mid notes of this recipe a favor. And, you know, the whole body of it, because I think, you know, so you'll get that cereal layer Right next to it will be the dense cheesecake, and then at the top, what you'll get is, is that strawberry ripe. That's really where I am with this. I'm not so, mad at TFA ripe being the top note. I do think that, you might want to check out Inawera Shisha Strawberry, but that will blend, and I'm not sure what that's going to do to the profile as a whole. If it's going to do it a favor, or if that's not what the vision is. Another one to look at potentially is JF Sweet Strawberry. It's just one of my favorite strawberries. I think it would potentially work here as well, but I'm also worried that it might blend and not just sit totally at the top. But yeah, this is an ambitious project, and I want to encourage Moose to finish this and bang, fist bump, for this ambitious project. And why don't you take it through its paces, my dude? Cheers. Richard, what did you do?
Right, I also did birdcage. We've gone through the recipe already, so that, I won't repeat that. What I will do is just look at the core of his notes, where he says, try to achieve a very creamy, dense, yet delicate and complex cheesecake where the notes blend in perfectly. So that was kind of the framework of the juice that I was looking towards. Starting with the very creamy, dense descriptor. I find this acceptably dense. What I would say is, instead of very creamy, I'd say very smooth. I found this to be an exceptionally smooth mix, and I would say that it's blended and rounded rather than being super dense. It certainly is dense enough, but for me, that smoothness is kind of the main characteristic that I take out of this. Like Theo, I also get dark notes in this, but what I find, I'm getting like 4 different aspects, 4 different taste elements that comprise the juice. The first is that creamy cheesecake filling. Now, I agree with Theo that the mixture of Captain York cheesecake and LA cream cheese icing, which was presumably added just to up that sort of funky cheese note a little bit, could possibly be stronger. Maybe a different cheesecake, maybe a different cream, perhaps an Italian cream or something like that. That doesn't really bother me that much. The fact that it's not reading that prominently as a cheesecake, I don't really mind. I'm getting that sort of creamy filling type of vibe in the background, which is fine. So I'm happy with that mix. Then there's that brown crusty note, which I think is coming from the AP, the Bav cream, the toasted marshmallow, a little bit from the Captain York cheesecake as well. I'm reading that as a cheesecake crust that is, it's got that sort of dark baked note, but I'm not reading it as a crust. I'm reading it as biscuit crumbs or as dark baked
biscuit,
crumb type flakes that are embedded into the cheesecake filling. So it's not a cheesecake sitting on top of a crust. It's a cheesecake filling with bits of biscuit and crust kind of infused into it. Then there's the strawberry top note, which is the 5% strawberry ripe. And then what I'm tasting as well, which I don't often taste, but I am getting the taste of the marshmallow, the 1% TFA toasted marshmallow and the 0.5% TFA marshmallow. It's giving me just that faint edge of those pink and white marshmallows, and it's almost like there's little bits of that in that cheesecake filling as well, similar to how you'd find little bits of marshmallow in a cereal. So I'm getting a cheesecake filling with little flecks of biscuit crust in it, little flecks of strawberry in it, and little flecks of marshmallow in it. Where he says that he wants a delicate and complex cheesecake where the notes blend in perfectly, that is what I'm getting. I'm getting a very nice blend, a very equitable blend between that filling, those darker crust notes, and the single strawberry notes with just that tinge of marshmallow in there as well. So I think he hits the mark there. It's complex, but it blends together very nicely. There's no note that sticks out for me. I would agree with Thea that if there was a note that was to be more prominent, it would be that kind of tangy cheesecake note that I'd want maybe a little bit higher. But it works for me as is. What I like about this recipe is that in this sort of era, it would feel to a mixer like heresy to be putting just a single strawberry in there. People would want to be going for the Daveberry, or at least for some sort of combo that mixes two strawberries together. Now, what I like is that he has the confidence to just let strawberry ripe do its thing and let that be the strawberry note. And I keep coming back to Joel's French fellow as well, where it's a blueberry bakery, and he just puts a small amount of Flavor West blueberry in there. Doesn't buff it with anything else. He just lets it make that blueberry blush that he wants in that bakery. And I'm getting that same vibe here. It's not a pungent, prominent strawberry that's in your face. It's just a tinge of strawberry that's blended into that filling. And it works fine for me. I like strawberry ripe as a flavor. I think it could work with shisha, or with even the RF strawberry, or any of the other strawberries, but he chose ripe, and that works fine for me. So it's nice to see a strawberry cheesecake that doesn't have 2 or 3 or 4 strawberries in it. He's just letting that single strawberry do its work. So overall, I'm getting the sense that there's a lot of mixing acumen, a lot of mixing experience in here. Overall, it hangs together very well for me. It's a cheesecake strawberry combo, but it doesn't come together the way that many other cheesecake strawberry combos does. This strikes me as being something different. It's got that all-in-one sort of feel to it. So it's got a little bit of novelty for me. I like the flavors. I like the way that he's mixed them together. So this works for me. Could it be different? Absolutely. Could it be improved? Well, yeah, I suppose any mix can, but I'm happy with this as is. So for oddDrop, I give this a fist pump for that. This is a good and pleasing mix for me, and I'll certainly be paying this again. Deeds.
Okay, so the last one I did was rings with a Z, as it should be. And his note says, rings, starring fruit, sweetened, multi-grain cereal and milk. Meet the lucky friend of unlucky. To me, this is the closest to real Fruit Loops and milk with no power of pine sol. This is, as to date, as close as I could get to authenticity. Kids haven't tested it, and your mother probably does not approve. No substitutions. Just mix this up as is and enjoy. He uses here 1.5% cap cereal 27, 1.5% creamy milky 000, 7% cap fruit circles, 1% TPA meringue, 1% TPA strawberry ripe, 1% sweet cereal flakes, TPA sweet cereal flakes, and 1% Flavor West sweetener. So this is, I haven't really mixed up too many cereals. I think I've done 4, and this is one of the ones that I would put into my top 2 of them. It's a sweet fruity cereal with a realistic cereal profile to it. That multigrain cereal that he mentioned, that cereal I get. With regards to everything of the profile, I get the fruit, the sugar cereal flakes, and the milk. I don't get any off notes or soapy notes on this, as I have with some other cereals that I've tried before. So there's nothing funny going on, even straight off the shake and vape to me. I did enjoy this as a shake and vape, and basically it can only improve with steep, but I don't think there's any need for a steep. You'll enjoy it from the moment you mix it, or at least the next day. It is nice and fruity. Not as much lemon forward as many of these cereals are. the cereal profile itself is very realistic to the flavor of the cereal flakes, that multi-grain, those rings. The aftertaste is where the cereal really is at for me. It's like if I can explain it, it's like you just took a bite of a mouthful of cereal flakes, and that's your cereal profile. The milk, I get the milky profile, and on the exhale, it's resting on the aftertaste. It is a nice and sweet cereal drenched milk without being over sweet. It's like eating cereal. This is definitely one I enjoyed, and is one of the more realistic cereal, or close to a realistic cereal profile, a realistic cereal profile that I've tasted out of the ones I've had. I would also like to mention that I believe fully that our flavors and international people's flavors of the same product is not the same. Like, for instance, cream soda, which we've mentioned before, is not the same as we know it in South Africa. And the same goes for same brand of Fruit Loops. I don't think our Fruit Loops tastes exactly the same as America's. So I don't want to compare this to our Fruit Loops we have here. But it is definitely a good and a very nice, realistic cereal profile that I would put to Fruit Loops. It does remind me, though, as a South African, of Zoo biscuits. There was a moment when I was sitting and I was busy tasting it and making my notes, and for a few seconds I sat and I was vaping. I was like, this Zoo biscuit is actually pretty good. I was like, wait, no, this is not a Zoo biscuit. But it reminds me of a Zoo biscuit down to the icing layer on top, and I feel the icing layer of previous Zoo biscuit recipes people created here is not as close as this is in my mind to a Zoo biscuit cereal and the biscuit crunch stuff. So it's a little bit off what the profile is, but just for our South African peoples, if you enjoyed the Zoo biscuit, you will enjoy this as a Zoo biscuit. Just close your eyes and tell yourself you mixed the Zoo biscuit. That, or you can just have a double vape on the inhale, imagine Zoo, and on the exhale, imagine your cereal here. I enjoyed this one. I would definitely give this a fist bump, and I would recommend, if you like cereals and you've mixed cereals before, mix this one. It is a very realistic cereal that I enjoyed. Thank you.
Cool, guys. Is there any more mixes?
Nope, not for me.
All right.
I think we should just mention at this point that Daniel was going to sit in for this mix, but he's ill this week for this review, so he couldn't sit in. But he just wanted to let it be known that he also mixed up birdcage and also gave it a fist bump, and then he mixed up creme brulee milkshake, and he gave that a full banger. So check that one out.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. So, well done, oddDrop, aka the Moose or Dust Moose, for all your mixes and putting them out there for us to enjoy. If you like cereals or cereal kind of recipes, this is definitely a profile that you need to go and check out, because there's a lot of innovation from a cereal perspective in here. So go and check that out. Other than that, guys, please go and join the Mixologist Facebook group. It's the link is in the description below. Then where you can find me is in that group. On all the flavors, I'm thefogvlog. And just a shout out to a couple of channels that we collaborate with. So Daytime Frank, Fresho 3, thanks for letting us run this after your show. DIY Down Under, please watch out. We're going to be doing a mix-off in March at some point. And Hibidare, go and check that out. She's always in chats. And that's pretty much it. I've also put a link in there for people that want to learn how to mix. Go and check out the Richard's DIY Primer PDF. And you can pretty much use that PDF wherever you really want to, just quoting Richard in there as the creator. Guys, we can everybody reach you? Richard?
I'm on the Mixologists Facebook group and also on the E6SA forum. That's at e6sa.co.za. Deets?
You can find me on all the flavors, Deets, 2 Z's in the end, and ELR as well, Deets, single Z, and I'm also on the Mixologist Facebook group, and then on our local E6SA forum as well. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks Das Moes for Das Good Mixes.
Yeah, das goes good mixes.
Das is good.
Thank you guys. Just a small little disclaimer. Das asked us to go in hard. So if anybody thought the comment was a little bit outlandish, just know where it comes from. He wanted us to, he knew that there was going to be bangers involved, and he wanted us to 100% spit roast him with that. You know what I mean? But thank you for putting out your mixes for us, and thanks to everybody in chat. We enjoy having you guys here, and see you next week. Cheers, guys.
Come on.